Hello everybody, and thanks for checking out my review. Today I'm going to be going over something a little bit different from Casio. Usually I go over G-Shocks obviously, but today Casio sent me over a Casio Edifice. This is the EQB-1000. Amazingly thin watch, and I'm going to go through the unboxing. And for the size of this watch, I'm amazed at the amount of features that they were able to put into it. So let me get started here. First thing I'll show you is the box. It's got a navy blue color with some white and silver writing. And it gives you obviously the model, which is EQB-1000. And if you wanted to get the exact model, it's EQB-1000-1ACF. If you wanted to look up the manual, it's module number 5604. So if you just do a Google search for Casio module 5604, you can see the instruction manual. And opening up the box, you'll have some paperwork here. So it starts off with the manual. It's not a book style, it's more like a newspaper style. And it's actually pretty simple to go over, and it's got different languages, of course. And on the second here, you have FCC statements, you have the warranty card, you have the solar information, there's a smartphone link, so you can actually take a picture of that barcode and then it'll take you right to the application in the App Store. Same thing with Google. You have a little stand-up display, I guess, for the stores. And then there's a little piece of information here just telling you to remove the sticker, so this way the sticky grit doesn't stay on the back and possibly rust the watch. So that's it for the paperwork. And going into the box a little deeper here, you got Casio Edifice tin, also navy blue, silver writing. And opening up the tin, you have a little cushion on the top here. You have the tag, which goes over same information that's on the back of the box. And then, of course, you have the watch. All right, so giving you a little walkthrough through the watch, it really is a nice looking watch. I think this is probably the best looking Edifice that they put out of this line. The amazing thing about this is the amount of features, particularly the Bluetooth and the solar, that they put into such a really thin package here. So it's a 8.9 millimeters thick, 46 millimeters wide, and it's got solar battery charging, like I said, Bluetooth, so you can set everything up there. It's water resistant up to 100 meters, and it's a stainless steel watch. It's got the oyster style bracelet. It's got the dark gray dial and a teal green accent. So the stainless steel, it's vertically brushed on the bezel and around the case. It's got some polished sections here, along with the center link sections. They also have some polish to them. And the crown is signed. And at the 4 o'clock button, it shows you a Bluetooth logo. And of course, you use that to connect your smartphone. And you can also actually detect your smartphone if you lose it. So I'll show you that shortly. So going through the dial, what you're looking at here is you have the 24-hour time at the 12 o'clock. At the 4 o'clock, you have the date. You have a second time zone at the 9 o'clock, and it actually has an AM and PM below that, which is really handy. The day of the week is at the 6 o'clock on the left side, and on the inside portion of that is a stopwatch target time indicator, and it shows the difference between the previous lap and the current lap time. So it's a really good, very functional stopwatch if you like to do a lot of running or bicycling. The 10 o'clock shows the alarm status, that it's on or off, and then you have a Bluetooth indicator when you're connected to your smartphone. So as far as going to the bracelet, it's fairly easy to size. The spring bars are in the center link, and there is a micro adjust on the clasp. So the sizing is pretty good, and then you'll notice there's a little arrow button, and next to that you'll see the notch. So you can either use a really small screwdriver, pair of tweezers, or if you have like a Virgin watch sizing tool, they're pretty easy to do, but they are easy to lose, so just keep an eye on them when you are changing them. And the clasp, it's got the 2 buttons on the side, solid fold over, closes it up, and that's your walkthrough. And the hands, now this watch does not have a light function, so it uses the lume on the numbers and the hands. So the lume is not bad. I'll also show you that at the end of the video, so stay tuned to it. All right, so as far as setting the watch, there's two ways that you could set it. Of course, you could do it through Bluetooth using your smartphone, and then the second way you could do it is by using the crown. So just to go through the manual settings, the first pull of the crown, the first click, that's going to take you over to the second time zone. So you're going to notice that it's going to zero out, and if you watch the 9 o'clock sub-dial, what's going to happen is I could set that time. And if I wanted to just move the hand so I don't have to keep turning the crown, I can move it twice, and then you'll see that it moves automatically. And then once you get to the time that you're looking for, you back it off once, and then you can fine-tune the time, and then you're good to go. And you push it back in, you'll hear a beep, and that means it's all set. If you want to set the actual time on the watch, you pull it out 2 clicks, and then it's going to be the same way as setting that second dial. So you turn it one way or the other, and if you move it in 2 increments, you'll see that the hand is going to move automatically for the same thing, so this way you don't have to keep turning the crown. And then to stop it, you move it back 1 time, and then you can fine-tune it. And then once you get your time set, it zeroes out at the 12 o'clock, so all you have to do is put it in, you'll hear that confirmation beep, and the time is set. The calendar is a little tedious unless you use a smartphone application. If you just want to stay on the watch itself, this is how you set the calendar. So what you're going to do is you're going to move it up to that second click, wait for everything to set up, and then what you're going to do is you got the time setting, of course. Once the time is set, you're going to press the top button here, and the top button is going to move it to 10-year increments. So basically, this is going to be the year 2000, that'll be 2010, 2020, and so on and so forth, right? So when you get back to 2020, you press that A button again, and that's going to move it in 1-year increments. So if this was 2021, you move it to that one spot, and it's going to be 2021. You move it forward, and it moves it in 1-year increments. Once you get the year down, you press that pusher again, and now it's going to go to the month. So right now it's March, that'll be number 3. So 12 o'clock is going to be December, 1 will be January, 2 will be February, and so on throughout the dial. So you got 12 settings, obviously, to look at each month. And then you're going to press that one more time, and the day is a little bit more difficult. Now, the day of the week is going to automatically get set up because obviously you have the year and the month set up, but the day of the month is going to be a little difficult to do. It's not difficult, it's just that when you're spinning the crown, it takes a little while to get the crown to move over to the date that you're at. And then once you're there, you move it back 1 time, so this way it stops moving. And once you get to that date that you're looking at, once you see that 6 o'clock sub-dial stop moving, it moves really slow. Once you're there, you push the button in, and now the entire watch is set as far as the day, the time, you're good to go. Again, the easiest way to do this, though, is using your smartphone if you're able to. So now, next up, I want to show you a walkthrough on how to use the application. All right, so what you want to do is you want to go over to the App Store, and you want to download the application. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a search for the Edifice Connected. And when you see that come up, I already have it downloaded, so I'm going to press open. And you're going to see a nice little animation. And then what you're going to do is look up your watch, which is the EQB-1000. And what you want to do is to be able to connect everything, you're going to hold on to the button as it tells you for 2 seconds. And you're going to wait for that confirmation. And you'll see, register the watch to the application. You press the button over there. Get the confirmation. And now we're connected. And what's nice is that automatically, you'll notice that the watch is setting itself here. It's automatically adjusting the time to the time that's on the watch, on the smartphone. So once you're there, this smartphone application is going to walk you through the entire watch as well, which is handy. So if you go into the view guide, it'll give you the world time settings, the time settings, and then the stopwatch settings. So like I said, it's really easy to walk through. So when you go into the stopwatch, you can log your import, which is really nice. So what it'll do is it's gonna check the stopwatch times that I put in there, and it'll log it in to the top of that screen over there. I don't have anything to put in there, but basically it gives you all of your data. So like I said, if you're a runner or if you do bicycling or you're very athletic, that comes in really handy especially for such a nice watch. You go into the world time, and here's the really nice thing about the world time here. So right now it's currently set up at 9:47. I'm in the New York time zone. I press the world time, and I either have my favorites on the bottom here, or if I go into the top, I have a whole list of 300 countries and time zones that I could look up and set my watch to. For this purpose, I'm just going to go to Chicago because there's only an hour or two difference. I could set the city over to the watch, and if you look at the 9 o'clock subdial, you're going to see that the watch is going to automatically set to that time zone. You get the confirmation and you're good to go. So now if I wanted to switch my time zone, so if I end up going out to Chicago and I just want to use New York as my second time zone, I press that little middle button and you're going to see send the setting to the watch. Watch the watch face here, and you're going to see that it's automatically going to set over. And then after it's set over on the main time, you're going to see it go on to the second time. And then you can switch it back and forth. Real easy to do. And there we go. We're all set. Want to switch it back, you press that middle button again. You'll see them switch over with a little animation. Send it over to the watch. Once again, you'll see that setting change, and you're good to go. Everything's all set up on the watch. Then you go to the utility, and this is the alarm. So you can turn the alarm on or off, and you can see it once it leaves the application. You'll see it on the on-off switch on the top of the watch at the 10 o'clock spot. But basically, if I wanted to set up for 6 o'clock, or if I wanted to go PM, it's 24-hour format when you want to set that alarm. So if I set up for 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, send it over to the watch, sets it up automatically for me, and I'm good to go, and I can turn it on or off. And you'll always get that confirmation on the smartphone screen. And then I have settings that I could put into it. So if I press the top right, where you get that little gear on the top there, I go into my watch, and I could get my phone finder settings, so I could set the volume. And if I lose my smartphone, I could press that bottom button for about 5 seconds, and I'm going to hear this sound. Whatever sound I choose. And that'll get it all set up for me there. And then you can set certain things on the bottom here. So if I can go into the set the operation sound, so it'll turn that button operation tone on or off. I choose to keep it on so you can hear the confirmations. You could set the time for connecting to the application. So in other words, if you wanted it, if there was no activity on the smartphone and you wanted to just disconnect after 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, you could do that. You have a time adjustment, so it's automatically going to adjust to the watch every single day, so this way you're always accurate. And then you have the summertime setting for the home zone that you're in. So that's just daylight savings time, but that automatically gets set when you connect it. So that's it for the application. It's pretty easy to use. So if I press disconnect, I'm good to go, or I could just press that bottom button and it would disconnect as well. So that's it for the application. So that's the Casio Edifice, and just to give you a quick wrist shot here so you see how it looks on the wrist. I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and putting it on, it wears really nicely. Again, it's nice and thin. The adjusting is easy. And just to give you some size comparisons, I'm going to bring in some G-Shocks. All right, so just to compare it with the old 5600, it's almost the size of the bottom case, the thickness, but it's a little wider. And with the 9052, I'd probably say that's one of the closest comparisons as far as the width. So if you're looking to find out how it's going to look on your wrist as far as the width, but of course with the size, with the side, you're going to see it's about half the width. I'm sorry, half of the depth of the 9052. And give me the Frogman. Much, much thinner than a Frogman. And then one of the next watches I'm going to be doing, this thing is a very large watch. You could probably fit 4 of these watches in this one watch. And this is the new Rangeman. So that's going to be the next review I'm going to do. But that's it for the size comparison. And just to give you an idea on how bright the lume is, it's really, unfortunately, it's not that bright. I mean, you could see it in a dark room if you needed to. But this is definitely more of a daytime watch from that standpoint. All right, so that's my review of the Casio Edifice, the EQB-1000D-1ACF. Great watch. I do like that it's just definitely different from what Casio normally puts out. I like the thinness of this. I like the amount of technology that they were able to put in such a thin package. I want to thank Casio very much for sending this my way to be able to review for you guys. Once again, please subscribe, put the bell there for notifications, or if you follow me on Twitter at DougFNJ. I always post when I put a new review out there as well. And I want to thank you guys very much for your support. For another great resource for watches, I want to encourage you to go check out watchuseek.com. There's fantastic discussion of all different types of watches, whether it be G-Shock or Casio. You could look up luxury watches, dive watches, anything that you can imagine is on that website. They also have a great sales forum on top of that. And then I always want to thank Topper Jewelers for supporting and sponsoring my page here. I can't thank them enough, and I can't thank you enough for your constant support. So obviously right now we have a little issue going on with this virus. I wish everybody to be safe. Just watch yourself out there, and thank you again.